Hi, and welcome everyone to the BiotenSegriTea Party, an all volunteer production of the Stephen M. Levin Biotensegrity Archive. And today we are thrilled to be here with our special guest, Jean-Claude Guimberteau. And we've been having lots of discussions around your recent article, Jean-Claude, New Perspectives on the Organization of Living Tissue and the Ongoing Connective Tissue Fashion Nomenclature Debate, as revealed by intratissue endoscopy, endoscop,
Endoscopy.
endoscopy that provides real-time images during surgical procedures. And so today is going to be a fantastic discussion. But first, I suppose I should introduce myself. I'm Chris Morita Clancy, coming to you from the unceded territory of the Coast Salish Nation, just outside of Vancouver, BC. And I am here with my co-host, Susan Lowell de Solorzano. Hi, Susan.
Hi, coming to you from Little Washington, D.C. in the U.S.
And Graham Scar.
Hello, speaking to you from Binfield in the UK.
Okay, so from the UK, unfortunately, the audio went
Somewhere a
out for
little
a
too.
bit for me. But let's keep going because I know we're going to have lots to talk about today. Susan, can you please start us off with an opening toast?
Yes. So, thank you. I think everybody knows that we come together really primarily in friendship as colleagues that respect and support each other. And I'm so grateful
Has a
to
background check.
have
Gun control advocates are calling the decision.
and I'm so grateful to have everyone here today, especially Jean-Claude. And so, and everybody I think here knows that the Biotensegritea parties are all volunteer productions of the Stephen M. Levin Biotensegrity Archive. So we thank you for being here. And to you, Jean-Claude, who has contributed so much to our understanding of what's going on under our skin. Cheers.
Yes.
Yes.
Cheers.
Yes.
Cheers. Okay, so what we're going to do is to kick things off, I'm going to ask people to um, turn off their cameras and mics. And I'm going to start with Jean-Claude and I together. But we really wanted to have an open discussion. So,
I'm
Graham,
gonna.
do you also want to come on right now?
I'd like to introduce him if I can,
Oh,
Steve.
oh, I'm sorry, Steve.
Yes, that's
Thank
my
you.
job.
Yeah, I am so sorry.
Right.
On to you, Steve.
Okay. Well, I think this is a special occasion, so I want to say a few words, and you'll have to forgive me. At my age, I sort of forget things maybe, and so I have it written down. And although many of you already know Dr. Guimberteau and his work, I want to reintroduce him. I've been an admirer and colleague and friend of Dr. Guimberteau for over 20 years. He's an exceptional hand surgeon, innovating many techniques in his field. But more than that, he has gone beyond the relative narrow limits of hand surgery and explored much further. Now, surgery is the ultimate reductionist profession. To excel at it, you must focus more and more on less and less. The surgical endoscope, which Dr. Guimberteau pioneered, is amongst the most reductionist of surgical tools. However, Dr. Guimberteau has used the endoscope as astronomers have used the Hubble telescope to explore new worlds of our internal universe. He's a rare breed, a clinical scientist. As he himself says, he has to move far out of his comfort zone to understand the complexity of what he sees through his scope. If you haven't already viewed those videos, you have to. It's a must. As scientists must, we disagree on some points, but we agree on many, probably most. As a philosopher scientist myself, who avoids getting his hands dirty, I may take a stand based on theory rather than observation, and I can be insistent upon it and occasionally rude. But, but if others don't see it my way, it's my problem, not theirs, as my argument must be convincing enough, and their responsibility is to be skeptical. If during some of these discussions I've offended my friend Dr. Guimberteau, I want to publicly apologize. Now let's move on and let's hear from Dr. Guimberteau and all the wonderful things he has to say.
Well, thank you, Stephen. Yes, to be frankly speaking, when you wrote to me concerning the new article, I have been a little bit surprised. But as you are a surgeon and you know living matter, I decided to try to understand. And well, so a few days after, we had some explanation together, and I am very happy to be one of your friends, because I have always had admiration for you, and I have been always faithful to your way of thinking. I never criticize it. I say always that it's a way to understand, and this is the only way to understand how we can resist to gravity, for example. And so for me, biotensegrity is, how can I say, it's the way, because there is no other way to explain. So it has been totally integrated in my way of thinking. So I think we are very close. And after your criticism concerning the paper, Suzanne and Graham wrote to me and to Colin Armstrong, and with words concerning the mechanical behavior, which are very close to our way of thinking. It's very close. It's almost similar. So I think that with a common effort, we can have a common language and a common way of thinking and conclusion. So we have to make maybe a tiny effort, but I think it's possible. The second point, and the second point important, is that you are a group trying to understand, making research. And it's very important because, and I spoke about that during the last meeting of the facial research nomenclature categorization. And I said to them, if you don't promote research, we will have little by little the collapsing of the facial research, because in the facial research there is a research. So you have to promote research and to accept if people, researchers, don't say the same thing as you want. This is science. You have to accept that sometimes people are not agreeing to what you think. We have to share. And I think they have accepted at least to speak about. But I don't know which effect we will see. But I think they accept. And it's why I have tried to propose to Graham, to Jap, to Susan, to write articles really about research concerning fascia, really research, new ideas. And I hope that in the next years, this group of researchers will be able to speak, to explain at the next Fascial Research Congress and to be present. So I am happy, I am frankly happy to be with you. I have some images if you want, but we can talk and we can share. So I am completely open to the discussion, and well, I am waiting for your question.
Wonderful, thank you. And yeah, we are. Jean-Claude wanted an open discussion today, so you can put up hands whenever you want, and we can take it from there. Jean-Claude, I have a thought today that I wanted to have you consider. Is that I am looking at the fibers, the fibrillar network you have that you are presenting, and I am thinking of the fibers as behaviors. As behaviors, you and I have talked about how we know they are not fixed.
No,
Nothing
not
in the
at all.
body is fixed.
Not at all fixed.
Right. Now, some things in the body are more fixed than others. My nose is always here when I wake up in the morning, and I fully expect it to be. So my structure of my nose is more fixed than some other things. There's a big spectrum in the body. And then of course at the chemical level,
I
there are
agree with
things
you.
happening at
A bone is
not-
more fixed. A bone is more fixed than a muscle, for example. I agree totally.
Yes, but even a bone, right, is not completely fixed, and even a nose, they change over time. So we have different time scales where
Yeah.
some things are happening so quickly in the body we can't even imagine it, particularly at the chemical level. And uh and then
It's
we have
moving. Yes,
yeah, go ahead.
I think it's moving everywhere at all the level. It's moving. At all the
Exactly.
level.
And
And
see, on this we agree.
oh yes, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
And
yes.
so I had the idea of the fibers for that reason as being behaviors of the body.
Well, Stephen, as I did, I've seen that in the body, when you are looking to the connective tissue is made only of fibers. Only of fibers. Few cells someplace, but only fibers. Intercrossing in a total irregular frame. In a total irregular frame, giving total efficiency. And this has been one of my main questions at the beginning. How this chaos of fibers is able to give the best efficiency and giving the resting position perfect. Back to the resting position in a perfect state. There is a tissue memory, and this tissue memory is assumed by this chaos of fibers. This is, frankly speaking, a big question. And if you want to answer, you have to leave forever the Newtonian physics, the classical mathematics, and to enter in a new world, which is the world of complexity. It's a new world for everybody.
Agreed.
Right? Sorry?
Agreed. I agree.
Yeah, it's a new world for everybody. But recently, I spoke with John Sharkey, and we exchanged some writings, and him also, as an anatomist, is introducing, how would he say, the stochastic comportment. That means aleatory behavior in living structure. This is totally new. And this is very important for me because when I am observing fibers, I am never able to predict how the fibers is going to slide, divide, or length, and when. And generally, it's at the last moment. At the last moment, you have the best behavior. So, if you want to understand, you have to make research, you have to discuss, you have to exchange, but you are confronted to the fact that this is the mechanical behavior of the fibers. And we have to explain, but around this observation.
Yes.
And
So
for me, frankly, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I want to say that for me, it has been, frankly speaking, a sort of earth breaking in my mind. Because as a surgeon, I was used to have order, efficiency. And now I am confronted to apparent chaos and efficiency.
I think that's a very key phrase that you say, apparent chaos.
Yes,
and this is why I do not agree with this stochastic perspective. I don't think it's stochastic because I don't think it's random. I think that we see nature all the time following certain structural principles in its actions. When we see, I heard someone the other day, a biologist, and he was talking about the body as a swarm, like a swarm of bees.
Mhm.
I actually enjoyed this analogy. Again, no model is going to always be perfect. That's why we look at so many different models. But the idea was that when you see a swarm of birds, for example, or a school of fish, they're operating with these small world networks and they never bump into each other. They are unpredictable. You don't know which direction they're going to go next. But if you took a little thread and connected to the center of every fish, and it was somehow uh, a thread that was a changeable thread, a responsive behavioral thread, I think you would have your fibrillar network.
Yeah, it could be called a determined chaos.
Yes. So I think that, right. So I think it may look chaotic, it may look stochastic, but it is governed by certain principles of nature that we see everywhere,
Yeah,
I see that Yap has his camera on. Yup, can you give me a wave if you wanted to come on and ask something? Yes. Okay. Yup, why don't you unmute? I'm going to bring you up.
Okay. I miss the word cosmos. Cosmos. You know, my embryology is based on the principle that in this reality, nature, body, whatever, there's chaos and cosmos. No form without chaos. No chaos without form. It's always together. So indeed, in a body, there is the chaos of the swarming bees, but there's also the order in which they swarm. And that is a constant dialogue. Darwin discovered already the cosmic principles, the form principles of his evolutionary theory 20 years before he wrote his book. But he didn't know how it worked. And then he discovered chaos. Chaos is also a basic principle of nature in which order can be performed. Order needs chaos.
Yes.
And chaos needs order because chaos is the creativity and order is this. So that's the same with the Bible, I think.
Yes, Jab. But you have to define chaos. Is it really a chaos?
Yeah, this is the problem with the word chaos, right? Is that we have it as the system scientists understand it. And then we also have it, and the English dictionary at the least, that means complete disorder, which is not how it is defined with the system science. And I think what we're trying to talk about is
But
as it is defined in the system science, would you say?
yes, but you have, in fact, it's the world of chaos is not a good word. Because when we are listening chaos, immediately we think in the chaos of Greek mythology, the chaos, and then Gaia, and then living people. It's not the same chaos, it's an apparent chaos. And this apparent chaos is totally determined. And so we can speak about it. But it's not a chaos. And when, Jab, you are talking about order and chaos, it's a very old sentence of the positivist. And at that time, the chaos was really the Greek chaos. But no order, nothing. Now, in science, in the study of complex, chaotic, nonlinear system, chaos is understood in another way.
Yes. Yes. So we have exactly complexity, complex systems, complexity science, which is related to system science, which is what I was getting at exactly, where it's not.
What was saying Jap is right, because chaos is in fact now the study of the, how can I say, event in the nature. How can we explain the shape of mountains, the movement of waves, the turbulence in a river? All these events have no explanation thanks to the traditional physics. So there is a new discipline trying to understand. And our body are fruit of nature, nothing else. We are fruit of nature. So the rules governing our bodies are the rules of nature.
Agreed.
That's what I think. This is what I think. Maybe you could say you are a materialist and so on, but this is what I think. And when you are looking to the fibers moving, you say all these movements are certainly under rules of nature and not of human rules. Sure of that.
Graham,
So
did you have a,
we
Graham
have
maybe
to
had a
change.
response too?
Graham?
Yes.
Yes, I just want to say
Graham, you're breaking up.
Greg, maybe if he turns his video off, the sound will be better.
Graham, you can try. Yeah, try again.
deterministic,
Graham, please start again.
but it's not predictable.
Graham, can you hear me? Graham?
Mathematical,
Graham?
right, mathematical
Please start.
chaos is deterministic. Mathematical chaos. Yes.
Mathematical
Yes, I
chaos.
can hear you. I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, okay. Mathematical chaos is deterministic. Doug, I think you were saying a similar
I can
thing.
hear you. Yes. I'll put it in the chat.
Doug, are you able to come up?
Yeah. This is very interesting.
Yeah.
What you say. Yes.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to add Doug because I think he's pretty much saying the same thing, Graham, but his connection's better.
Well, and I'm open to being corrected if I have this wrong, but my understanding is the term chaos and chaos theory has been replaced essentially by geez, now I'm losing it a little. Complex systems. So I'm sorry, complex systems. So you have, and the one that everybody experiences all the time is the difference between climate and weather, in that the weather is famously unpredictable for just a short amount of time, past a couple of days, but we can reliably expect still, fortunately, summer to be hotter than winter, and so there can be stable states in these so-called chaotic systems, or stable states in these complex systems, where you cannot predict day-to-day precise measurements, yet you can rely on the state to be stable as long as it is. And so the particular direction that any of the elements of the fibrillar network are going to go corresponds to the daily weather, but the stability of the system would be the climate. And so there is that combination of unpredictability by definition. And in that sense, stochastic, and that it's not predictable moment to moment, but the reliability of the greater forces and the stability in that complex system is familiar. That's my understanding.
Yeah. But frankly speaking.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, Jaap, did you have more questions, or shall we listen to Jean-Claude's response first?
Maybe just a little elucidation. It sounds as if people think that chaos is good or not good. I'm a polarity thinker. Polarities have nothing to do with good or bad, or right and wrong.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about good or bad. You did?
Yeah. Jean-Claude said chaos is disorder or something like that. Okay. What I mean is that always chaos and cosmos, that's the one. That is a polarity, and that is both principles are valid. Again, with the complexity, what do I miss about complexity? Oneness. Oneness, wholeness, is the polarity of complexity. So it's always, I think, always in polarity. So no cosmos without chaos. Darwin could not develop his theory. He knew about the ordering principles in nature, selection, survival of the fittest, but he didn't know about the chaos in nature. And then, a few years before he moved, he learned from someone else, Another drive in nature is chaos, constant change, creativity, constant everything new. Nothing is stable. And order together with chaos, that creates, so to say, evolution. So these principles.
Yeah, but it's
I think this is what Doug was saying.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I think, Jap, I think the instability everywhere in the nature is called chaos, but it's not chaos.
Well, this is why I think that Doug is
I don't
saying that
think-
they replaced it. Doug, come on back up. Hold on a sec. I think we better keep you here for a minute. Hold on. I'm going to let's see. Try to spotlight you. Oh, I know the option wasn't there. There we go. Go ahead, Doug.
Well, just one thing that comes to mind in another familiar experience is balance. We can stand still, and we can make the mistake to think we're actually still. And as we all know in this group, we're never still, and there are constant adjustments going on. And if we look at a force plate, there's constant little adjustments, and with a perturbation, we can recover from that. But unpredictable for sure how those forces are being distributed through the system, but the underlying central functional intentional property of me not falling over but staying in place is a unifying factor to organize all those unpredictable elements. I think that's another and certainly the fibrillar network is partly what is primarily even carrying those forces, resolving those forces through the body in balance.
Yeah, and then our center that we're trying to find is kind of like the strange attractor that we're going toward while we're trying to stay centered. So I think we've got that. This idea that instead of that the word chaos is now being traded in complexity science for complexity systems or complex systems, I think is interesting too.
But Suzanne,
yes,
what you said, you're talking about strange attractor. Okay?
Yeah.
You are speaking of strange attractor for living matter.
Yes.
It's new.
Oh, absolutely. It's
totally
uncharted
new.
territory.
Yes.
I mean, it's new in Western science. I came to this studying Tai Chi, so that's a whole different thing. But yeah,
it's
absolutely.
We are lucky to be able to share this kind of concept because there is very few places, even at the university, where you can speak about this discussion. So it's completely new in living matter. It's new it is not new for the weather, but for living matter, it's totally new. And when you are speaking to strange attractor to all my colleagues, I can say that it's very surprised. So no,
yes.
It's why we have to go on this kind of research. It's the same for quantum physics.
Yes.
It's the same for quantum physics. We have to introduce the idea that maybe the molecular system inside the fibers, the glycosaminoglycan is under quantum physics because we are near the micron, we are around the micron, and so the both physics can be influencing.
Yes.
Is my English correct? Because sometimes
I think that makes sense. I think that makes complete sense.
But
so
yeah,
you talked about research and how important it is. And one of the things we've been talking about in general is how the research that needs to happen needs to be with a wider community. So we were just talking about like this strange attractor, and I'm thinking of in Tai Chi, they call the Dantian, the center, the lower Dantian. This idea that there are different systems in movement theory and body work, or old systems like Chinese medicine or Tai Chi or whatever, that have some of these concepts already there, but they have not been a part of Western science. And so the conversation has not included them. So I think when we talk about research, I see our research as needing to expand, just as you've expanded our world of awareness with your films, that for interpretation and understanding and discussion, we also need to go outside of the typical, the typical conversation with the typical people. We have to go beyond anatomy. We have to go beyond the Fascia Research Society. Do we include all of those people? Sure. But we have to have, the research has to have no boundaries in terms of who gets included in the conversation, or looser boundaries. What do you think?
Well, I think it's difficult. I
Yeah.
think it's difficult to share. It's difficult to share. For example, a very simple case. In my family, they are listening me speaking about fibers and so on, sliding system and so on for decades.
Yes.
They don't care.
And let me also say right here, I think sliding is a perfectly good word for what we're seeing and what we're doing.
Yeah.
I know there's been controversy about that, but I think sliding, when I look it up and I read what it means, I think you're right. I think that's a fine word to use.
So if you want to interest people in this kind of conversation or research, I don't think it's a good idea to share to a lot of people. I think it's much better to have small groups, efficient, at the same level of knowledge, and able to go forward all together. And then,
Okay.
it's my idea, but
No, I like this idea. All I'm saying is it's nice when we have diverse backgrounds. You're
Yeah.
a surgeon. Imagine having this conversation only with surgeons.
If I speak about strange attractor to my
Yes.
colleague surgeon, nobody stay with me. They leave.
Right.
They don't care about that. It's not their problem. And maybe one or two will stay with me, maybe. But no, it's why if we want to go forward, it's much better to have a small group to exchange and to hope to convince all the world. I think it's how can I say in English? I don't remember, but it's not the good way, because people are not interested. Frankly speaking, we are. My English is not so good today. There is no hope. There is no hope to gather everybody.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. That's a good point. Jeroen?
All right. I'm already. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can see you.
Okay. Well, I posted something in the chat and somebody asked if I could explain a little bit more. And I think that part of the trouble is that probably the background theories that we have, they are not that process oriented, but more object oriented, like Newtonian still. And I come from a field of process philosophy and process physics, which thinks in terms of happenings and events that are related to one another in a creative network.
What is the,
And
can you tell us what is that field called?
process philosophy, process thought. I myself work in process physics and the interpretation of it. But this is quite new and it's controversial.
And is it at all related to processual biology?
Definitely, it sees the universe as a biocentric process.
Okay.
So all is related to life. Actually, it's a living universe, which is in itself a bit heretic, perhaps, but it fits in with the narrative of us living beings not being separate from the world in which we live. And we were talking about chaos, if it's real chaos or if it's structured chaos. And there are some fields that speak about coherent noise, which is we can see it as the whole having an influence on local structures via environmental noise, which then become organized within a cell, for instance, all having this integrated effect. And it's also related to Gregory Bateson, who is a system thinker.
Yes.
He talks about the differences which make a difference.
Yes.
So every local structure within this whole web of entanglement makes a difference to all else.
Yes.
And this is very consonant with the way we might look at fascia networks and stuff like that.
Thank you. And we've also been using the word events. I was saying earlier, for example, the fibrillar network is a behavior.
Yeah.
Also have been looking at the word events more than process. If we think of a process as being prescribed, perhaps you being a process scientist, is there a better word? In other words, an event is something that happens. This happens, this happens, this happens. And they're not stochastic, but they are, there's something in the pattern world of nature that makes things happen the way they do. It's always within that loose set of rules. Is there a better word than process or behaviors or events?
Well, yeah, we're actually looking for a vocabulary because, well, they use a lot of event talk, event ontology. I like to think of it as processuality because it all hangs together. So a process is already an individual noun.
But is process, sorry about this, sorry, I just want to get this clear, a little clearer for me. Is process, the word as you're using it, limited to a specifically determined process, or can process be expanded to be non-deterministic, or have that complexity in it?
Yes, definitely.
Complexity
It's all about,
processes.
yeah.
Okay. Great. So,
But that would be my 5 cents just to add some context, I guess.
thank you. Jean-Claude, did you have anything to respond or I'll
No,
thank you.
no,
Thank you,
no,
Jeroen.
no,
That's
no,
very
no.
helpful.
No, I am listening and learning that in many disciplines, it's the same way to go forward, to try to understand many events that we have in front of us every day without any understanding.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I observe fractalization for the first time, before my observation of fibers, I never thought of fractalization. Never. It was something, it was a word, that's all. But when I was just in front of fibers fractalized, I said, well, surprising, because it's the first time I see that, and I don't know where I can find that. And just look to a tree. A tree is totally fractalized.
Yes.
Totally fractalized. So for me, to see fractalization inside my body and the same stable fractalization, apparently stable, fractalization on a tree,
Yes.
this was also a first breaking in my mind. In fact, we are made by the same way.
Yes. Agreed. So apparently stable and at the same time constantly changing.
Oh, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. It's like us, like us. We are stable, apparently, but we are changing all the time. I think it's around 20 billions of cells in a second are changing
There we go.
all the time. 20 billions. It's a lot.
And we have Michelle.
Ah,
Hi.
hello.
Hi, Jean-Claude. Happy to see
Hello.
you.
Me
I
too.
try to speak in English with you.
Oh, yeah.
Should be better in
Okay.
French.
So you see, we are approaching together very difficult problem. We are approaching fractalization. We are approaching complexity, strange attractor, irregularity, chaos. So a lot of new fields for biology, for study of living matter. And so we have to go on. We have to go on. And I am sure that we will have in the next decade another way of thinking about living body than we have had during the past century.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Yes, it's so strong for me to be gathered with you. All of you are so important for me. I don't feel alone as osteopath when I hear you. And also, I think still who has transmitted us osteopathy should be so happy to have discovered biotensegrity if he should have this model under his hand. I think it should have a better understanding of this what happens under our hands when we give a treatment, because this chaotic, which is not my word, because for me it's just a reorganization which happens under my hands when I give osteopathic treatment. Still at the a very long time ago, He was
Michelle, excuse me. You're saying Andrew Taylor Still, is that correct?
Yes, Andrew Taylor Still, the creator of osteopathy,
Yes.
had the intuition of what happened, and this tree was offered to us because he said to us, follow the way of fascia and you will find where is rigidity, you will find where you must give a treatment, because he was really a visionary, and he could he gave us the fascia and the irregularity under our hands to follow them in the global body. And for me, it's really a gift to hear you and to have your videos, Jean-Claude, because for me it's it gives me really an explanation of what happens under my hands, and the biotensegrity with this model, which is very near in his behavior of the complexity of living compartment behavior, is for me the best model to understand what I feel under my hands. So I'm so happy you are here, Susan, Steve.
So, yes,
Claude.
you're right,
Jacques.
Michelle. But what I have, when I did my first observation, I have been so surprised, because it was really very different of what I was supposed to observe. And so at the beginning, I observed. And then in my mind, I said, well, you have to make a movie. You have to make a movie to show. And it was 2004. And I decided to show it to my my colleague surgeon. And so I organized a place to show on a TV set to show the movie. We were five. So, but little by little, they had more interest. But I did in my movie only observation. I have tried to explain, but it's just the beginning of explanation. I think in the next decade, it will be more complex, more coherent. It's just the beginning. And when Stephen Levine, for the first time, explained me in the paper what is biotensegrity, for me, it has been also a sort of light. Yes, I think so. He is right. And on this step, I began to imagine how it could be working. You know, thanks to Stephen and to many others, you can, little by little, build a new way of thinking. Little by little. It's not sudden. It's not possible. It's little by little, sharing, explaining, accepting criticism.
Caramba.
Okay. So thank you, Michelle. We have more people that want to come up. I'm going to bring up Bob. Bob, you can, thank you, Michelle. It's always so good to see you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Bob.
No, thank you, Susan and Jean-Claude. I wanted to follow up with something Michelle said. I am a manual therapist as well and treat with my hands. So I appreciate the research, Jean-Claude, and about the constantly changing of fibers. My question is, did you ever see through the endoscope something like an adhesion or a fascial restriction? And do you see the same dynamic behavior of fibers there, or is it somewhat different and less of a dynamic change? I'm just
And
trying to.
one of the if I may, one of the videos that Jean-Claude sent us, I think is specifically on scars and adhesion.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Jean-Claude.
No, you are right. When you are observing, how can I say, a normal patient, you have a sort of harmonious mechanical behavior. And when you are operating adhesion scars, the harmonious behavior has totally disappeared. Totally. And when you are making surgery in order to release adhesion, for example, with your scissors, you cut, you make free the tendon or the muscle. But it's working, okay? But if after that you don't move the tendon, or if you don't move the muscle, again, 2 months after, you have a new adhesion. So the process to rebuild the mechanical behavior with better harmony after trauma or incision, so on, has disappeared. Nature is not able to repair correctly. It's always a very rude reparation. It's never the previous harmonial system. Never.
Can we say nature is not able to recreate it as it was originally created, the repair
yes.
is a different condition?
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
And maybe Jap could I don't know, but maybe he could explain why we are not able to repeat this process, because it's a question.
Yeah, but it's also a question as to whether we would want it to be repeatable. In other words, we look at it from our perspective, we think it needs to be put back. It could be that 4.5 billion years of evolutionary understanding that's developed within the systems, that what we end up with is sometimes better. I think we have to at least consider it.
Yeah, and in my mind, I'm not necessarily thinking about putting it back. It's about making it work correctly. And any way we can do that to happen, whether it's backward or forward, at the end doesn't really matter to me. It's just that if you can remove the obstacle and then get the person to move appropriately, and then their body can remodel in the correct way, I think that's the most important. So
moving forward. Okay, thank you, Bob. I also want
thank you.
Thank you. We've got a line, so I want to move along a little bit. And I also want to say that before I bring up Carol, we're also looking at the second law of thermodynamics and the efficiency of any organismic system, including the human body. I think that you and I have talked about that as well, Jean-Claude, that it's efficient, that all this reconfiguring and reorganizing and this responsive behavior has an efficiency to it. And when we talk about those instabilities, that within the whole, all those different instabilities add up to a stable situation, so that any extreme is canceled out by something on the other side, so that there's a sort of balanced in the end.
Yes, yes. I think there is a permanent balance
Yes,
in our body.
a dynamic balance. Carol, can you turn on your camera, please? Great. And your mic as well, please.
Thank you. Jean-Claude, it's good to see you. And it's good to see everybody. In fact, Michelle inspired me by her comments to be back in the community. And I found myself with a group of people during two Easters ago, during Lent, working with some material and in trying to talk about hope and trying to talk about predictability and chaos theory came up. And I started telling people about the story of the discovery of the strange attractor. And what Michelle said just a bit ago, not so much what you said, Michelle, but it's the emotion that I got behind it. And also, Jean-Claude, when you said, when I try to talk to surgeons about this, I mean, 5 people show up and they don't know what I'm talking about. I remember the stories that came out of 2007 Boston at the International Fascia Research Congress when you showed Sterling under the skin for the first time to this community. And the people described it with tears in their eyes. And when we're talking about chaos, I can't think of anything more anxiety provoking than my disequilibrium that I got with my vestibulitis with COVID, not knowing where top was or bottom was, and not even knowing how I was on the bed. My sister had to position me in space. I've been there and I know about that chaos. But then I always remember the wonderful story about Edward Lorenz's meteorology research in 1961 when he was trying to predict the weather. And instead of using 6 decimals, he brought it down to 3 decimals and he put it on a computer and had it work itself out. And he checked the results. And what he got was, and I think Doug put it in the chat, the butterfly, the strange attractor. But here's the point that I always return to, and the point I want to make today. The strange attractor never went over the same pattern twice on the computer page as it drew the butterfly, but it never went off the page. To me, that reminds me of Jan Trewatha's wonderful statement, fascia seems to spiral around to find its way home, to find its way home. And that's, to me, the hope of chaos theory. That's all I wanted to say. And it's good to be with the community again. Thanks.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, can I
Yeah,
answer?
please.
Yeah. The chaos theory is, in fact, for me, because it's difficult to understand. It's not so easy. It's when a state is in instability. It's normal because all of us, we are in instability.
Yes.
But sometimes, as nothing is fixed, this instability can increase.
We say we are far from equilibrium systems.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and then it is increasing, and little by little appear the strange attractor. And after the strange attractor, there is another state appearing, It's called dissipative structure, which is in a much better stability and able to follow the former state and to create a new state and a new state and a new state. And I think it's very interesting because it's remember what happened for a human, for example, when a woman is pregnant. She's giving a new life able to replace you in a new state. And you, in your state, you are going little and little to the total stability and the death. But your kids are the future and following you, following and following. You know, it's never end. So it's very interesting to compare the strange attractor and the instability state with what happened during our life. Maybe it's very simple, but I think it's easy to understand with this example.
Great, thank you. I'm going to,
if I can add something between the dissipative structure and strange attractor, there is something else introduced by Claude Shannon. It's transmission of information.
Yes.
And with this transmission of information, there is a link with what was saying Graham, determine mathematics. And for Claude Shannon,
can you say this again?
Claude Shannon, it's an American.
Before that.
Claude Shannon invented the memory bits.
Okay.
It's a very famous one.
Yes, yes. No, it was a term before that you mentioned. Maybe you had discussed it with Graham. I don't know.
Determine mathematics.
Deterministic mathematics.
Yes, right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And Claude Shannon, at the end, thought that information from the molecular level to the human level, for example, use the state of strange attractor to be transmitted. Do you understand what I say? Because it's not so easy in French, so in English for me it's maybe. I can't hear you.
Sorry. I think what you're saying is clear. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you see, strange attractor, transmission of information, determine mathematics.
Yes.
So it's a new world, and we have to understand better and better because we are still in living matter.
Agreed. Okay, we have more people who want to come up, so I'm going to ask Mike to come up. Mike, can you turn your camera on, please? Great. Wonderful.
Great. Wow. Are you able to hear me okay?
Jean-Claude, do you know Mike?
No, sorry, no.
Mike is our new fellow at the BiotensegriTea Archive. Congratulations, Mike.
Thanks.
Hello.
And also, can you show Jean-Claude just an example of what you do so he understands where you're coming from?
Oh, certainly. I've got one in my hands.
But he also makes them like the body and all kinds of different structures.
Mm-hmm.
even the whole body.
Yeah,
Very good.
they're hanging out in here somewhere, and of
That's
course
okay.
they never do justice to the actual living system that is in constant dynamic change, and I guess non-equilibrium, which feels very intuitive to me that the energy is constantly uneven and being passed everywhere. It's fascinating coming to this as my background is as a puppeteer, and science is a very recent um, part of my life, and so it's interesting hearing these conversations about what the previous dynamics were, because to me they're all coming in as equal pieces of information, if not more so. These aspects of chaos and complexity, and so this is my baseline,
And I'm
which
going to just say the word dropped, at least for me. He's a puppeteer, Jean-Claude. So Mike's background is he came to us, he makes puppets.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a nice job. It's a nice job.
it's a fantastic job. Doesn't pay great, but it is. I wouldn't. The only thing I'd trade it for is to be a tensegritist, and hopefully I'll make my way back to puppetry. And also, I just want to say thank you so much for both your generosity of spirit and the artistry that you've contributed to the field. It's something that, to me, it is incredibly inviting and welcoming to be able to be inspired by something that is experienced on such an artful and visual level, and have that be the entryway into more rigorous scientific discussion. And I think that it's a very inspirational mode of communication, and I'm really grateful for it. I have so many questions, but I guess if possibly changing directions a little bit, if we were to occupy an utterly imaginative and speculative space, and I know that these things happen little by little, but if you were to imagine 50 years into the future, 100 years into the future, how, based on the claims in your paper, how could you imagine, say, a visit to the surgeon, a visit to yourself 100 years from now? How might that look differently if people have extrapolated and built upon on what you're discussing today?
Well, the answer could be they will be closer to the nature. Our way of thinking until now, it's beginning to change, but until now, is to be the master. The human has to be the master of nature. Almost all the religion, Christian, Muslim, Jews, I don't know in Asia, in these three religions, the man must dominate nature. Nature is to serve human. And so, with this kind of thinking, you exploit nature for you destroy nature sometimes, you create civilization also, but you use nature. Maybe, I am not sure, maybe with this kind of new knowledge, we will appreciate in a better way the bird on a branch, the shell in the sea, the bee around you with more respect. It's a living, as I am living, a living. So maybe it could be. When you cut a tree, you are cutting a living structure.
Mhm.
It's not only wood, it's a living structure. And until now, when you cut a tree, nobody cares. Nobody. But maybe in the future, we will have more respect. We will try to respect more the nature, avoiding to destroy too much. I hope. But frankly speaking, looking what happened now, I am not sure.
Hmm.
It's hope only.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Is it okay
Anything
for
else,
you?
Mike?
I think
No,
so.
it's more philosophical aspect of things than
That's fine.
surgical or biological or
Mm.
endoscopical problems. But it's very important, I think, to consider that all of us, we are made of the same way, and all the animals, we are in the same way of doing, of building. I wrote a book recently, so about that.
Mm. So if I was to say, if I had a hand injury and I were to come to you,
I am retired.
this is your future clone 100 years from now. Um, how might their interaction with the human body change, given that newer understanding of nature, other than, I suppose, preventative medicine, which is the ideal in all in all cases.
I think if you learn more concerning your own nature, your own body, your own way of doing, thinking, digestion, urines, and so on, if you know more concerning your way of living, you can understand in a better way how you are going to heal, how is it important to move your joints, your finger, to obtain a better result than compared to now. People are waiting everything from the surgeon or from the nurse,
Mhm.
and they are only spectators of their own body.
Mm.
So it's more taking in charge, more responsibility of your body, and you can obtain that by a better understanding of the knowledge of your body. I
Mm.
think so.
Mm.
I tried to.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I'm going to bring up Doug, if you can turn on your camera. Thanks, Mike, and congratulations. Okay.
I just want to say how much I appreciate you bringing up Claude Shannon and information theory. Because honestly, I think for me, that's the best way to understand functionally what this is, in that it communicates mechanical movement information. So the energy, when the forces are being resolved, that's the carrying of information, of a type of information. And it's particularly it's like lifting yourself up by your chair. I mean, if you think about the fibrillar network, on the one hand, we can say that's carrying the information, but also more basically,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
also it's the information, it's the adjustment of the network that is the information being carried. It's almost like wires are being changed in the network.
You're talking about mechanical information.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But mechanical information, it's a small part of information.
Well, yeah. Fair.
Okay.
But in terms of well, in terms of this structure, I don't want to hook it up to the electrical current while I'm holding it. I mean, there's other types we could. I'd love to hear you talk about any thoughts about information theory related to what you're seeing in the body. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Doug. So Jean-Claude, what do you see as when we're seeing these changes in the behaviors, the responsive changes? How much of that is information transmission or generation? Or do you think of it in terms of information?
Well, for me, it's only mechanical information. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
But I say that because I observe only that.
Yes.
From the beginning, I have tried to show what I have observed. Sometimes I try to understand, but sometimes I can't because maybe I have not the knowledge to understand everything. You know, when you are talking about deterministic mathematics, for me, it's a lot of work to understand because it's not my job to do that. So I have to go back to school and to understand. So it's an effort. It's an effort. But I don't want to be a sort of the man who knows everything. I don't want.
Yes, right.
I refuse this role. I try to propose some ways. I have some hypotheses. I try to share them with others, but I don't want to be a guru. Not at all.
Right.
Not at all. So you can ask me many questions, but certainly I will not have many answers.
Well, I think of it, I mean, just today here, we've got so many different people with amazing backgrounds that are very different. No one can expect to know everything, even about the field they themselves are working in, let alone the fields that other people are working in, be it processual physics or process physics or whatever, and manual therapy, osteopathy, puppetry. We can't know everything about everything. So I think it's great that we are kind of happy to not be gurus and are happy to come together to kind of discuss our different perspectives. Now, I had a question from Joe Pristula. And Joe, I don't know if you're still here.
Yes.
Oh, did you want to come up?
Yeah.
Great. Can you turn your, okay, great. Hold on a second. And Jean-Claude, do you know Joe at all?
No, I don't think we've ever met. But...
Yeah, so Joe is from the world of sports and coaching. And so he's got a very practical application in his work for biotensegrity. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. First of all, Doctor, thanks so much for all your great research and your presentation today. I really appreciate it. But I wanted to know, what are your thoughts on the pop fitness culture that's developed around fascia? Most of it seems to be based on Thomas Meyer's interpretation of fascia and its function. Can fascia be trained, independently from the rest of the body?
My answer is no. No, it's not possible. Not at all. Because this is a main question. Your question is very important. What is fascia? This is a question. What is fascia? When you are making surgery and you see inside of a body every day,
À qui dois-je l'envoyer?
every day, you don't see fascia. Because at the university, you have not been taught about fascia. You have been taught about connective tissue. So you see connective tissue everywhere, everywhere. So for a surgeon and even for an anatomist, you are confronted to connective tissue. But the next step is, well, connective tissue, when you are looking it closely, with a magnification around 40 or 60 times.
Désolé, je n'ai pas bien entendu ce que vous avez dit.
I don't know what happened. Well. So, when you are looking connective tissue very closely, you observe that the connective tissue is not only connective, it's penetrating inside the organs, shaping them, organizing them. And the role of the connective tissue, little by little, is much more important. It's not only connective, but it's also constitutive. And these two roles, constitutive and connective, could be the fascia. So we could say that the fascia is the body extension of the connective tissue known from 2nd century at least. You understand? So when you are moving the skin, when you are moving the bone, when you are moving eyes, for example, you are moving fascia. You are moving fascia all the time because fascia is your architecture. So you can't move only fascia. You move all the body and not only a system or a new organ, not at all. It's not a system, it's not a new organ. For me,
So you can,
for me and some others. But you could read and listen that there is a fascia here in this side, in this area. There is some difference between fascia. I don't share this point of view.
Interesting. And Susan, I also I know on a couple of the websites where some of these practitioners are are making these videos and making comments and putting up PowerPoint slides. I see some of them you actually, I don't know how you find them, but you find them and you do make comments. And most of the time you're asking, hey, let's it's interesting you're applying biotensegrity and fascia in your in your field. I'd like to discuss it more. You never seem to get a response, though, do you?
no. So it's very interesting. There are some of you, well, a lot of you would have gotten the newsletter. Right now, Biotensegrity is experiencing a publishing explosion, according to this this recent bibliometric analysis of various kinds of information over the last 35 years. Also, tensegrity robotics is experiencing this explosion. And so I find you find more and more people talking about biotensegrity. I found one woman with a video, and she does Chinese medicine. And we have in Chinese medicine, they have the word Shen, which is spirit, loosely translated. My Chinese is non-existent. She was teaching Shentegrity, So this whole video was about Shen integrity. So biotensegrity is getting popular to the point that people are taking it and adopting it and adapting it and turning it into whatever they're going to turn it into. That's fine. People can do whatever they want, right? But when people are talking about biotensegrity on these videos and they're saying, oh, you need to fix your biotensegrity and I can teach you how to fix it, then I say to myself, this person doesn't understand what we're talking about, but they're interested in what we're talking about. And so what I typically will do is write and say, it's great that you've discovered biotensegrity. And if you are interested in learning more, you might be interested in seeing some of the tea parties. You might be interested in da 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 da. Because some people are only going to take the word and use it as a buzzword,
Yes,
just
but
like they do with fascia, right? But some people are going to be, and not everyone I understand as well has time. Some of these people are just, they're very busy. You know, maybe they're Pilates teacher and they're just really busy. And, you know, they may not have time to spend,
acknowledge, yes, to increase
to
the
get the
knowledge.
depth. Right.
Yes.
And so this is why these exchanges are important. I mean, Joe, I'm never, in my lifetime, I could never know as much about coaching as you do. And I could never know as much about hand surgery as Jean-Claude does, no matter what, you know, because you guys have your lifetimes in it. So what we can do is take advantage of each other's expertise when we have these conversations and find common ground and find common questions as well. So I think I'll if I can say one other thing, you know, Leonid Bloom and Mariana Barreto do amazing work with these kids who have cerebral palsy, whose fascial structure is just not well developed in their body. And they do a certain kind of work with these kids. Actually, what they do is they teach the parents to work daily with these kids. And those fibroblasts, and Carol is better at describing these things. I don't know all the anatomical and the scientific words, but these fibroblasts become motivated and they help to both resolve some adhesions and lay down new sort of fascial networks. And I'm saying networks, but I'm thinking of a gel-like structure that is ready to respond in a more solid fibrillar way when called upon to do so. Like I said, the fascia as almost as a behavior, or what we're thinking of as fascia, and the fibrillar network being a behavior, events, and part of ongoing changes in the system. So I think so there is evidence that that is possible, right? That is possible. Now, in terms of
Sorry, I should have brought my headphones.
Sorry, in
You wouldn't
terms
have to listen to this.
Hey, Chris. Chris is switching to her headphones. And so in terms of a protocol that people can go to improve different aspects of what's happening at what is perceived to be a fascial system at a certain scale level. I mean, you end up with so many qualifiers there. And I don't want, you know, I'm happy to look at any of that research. I'm sure you've seen it too.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, I maybe I don't know if I understood you correctly, Susan, but you know, it seems like what you're describing is kind of like more from looking at it more from an ecological psychology perspective, you know, kind of, you know, where I guess the task by providing certain tasks, you could have the cause the fascia to kind of to restructure itself. Where I think where I see in a lot of these courses that are being offered, these what I call the pop fitness culture fascia courses, they're very like internally focused, on working on anatomical chains, and that type of thing, like the spiral line, the posterior chain, and I don't know, maybe the doctor, do those even, anatomically, is that in the eye of the beholder, or do those chains actually exist?
Well, I have not totally understood your question, to be frank. What do you want to know exactly? Because tell me.
Okay, so say in with most of the people, the way they interpret Meyer's work is, so the body is divided into these fascial lines, and when you do the training has to be to train to strengthen the body along these fascial lines. Say the spiral lines, and they have all
Well,
these type of
well,
rather than training for the task, you're training the internal fascia according to the fascial patterns described by
well,
Myers.
well, I ask you to repeat because I wanted to be sure of your question. It's difficult to give you an answer because as I think, you think that the fascia is everywhere, architecturing all our body, it's difficult to say that there is a line. It's difficult to say that you have to treat your patient in this way and not in this one. For me, it's difficult. But I understand very well that people with experience, with years and years of training, could be able to say to me, I think that my way of treating and training my patient with this straight line, with this oblique line, I don't know, is better because they have experience. They have the training, and I have not this experience. So for me, it's difficult to give you any advice concerning the best way or the worst way to do. Frankly, I don't know. But I am with osteopath people for years and years now, and I have seen a lot of technical approach, different, and all of them are the best. So I don't know. I don't know. I think the best is your own experience to do the best for your patient. You do what you feel well for you and your patient. I think there is no the standard training. I don't think, but
Okay.
if you ask me for endoscopy question, surgical question, I can give you answer. On training, no, I am not.
Okay.
I can't. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to spin off of this, Joe. So imagine I learned to make an omelet. Okay. I have a very simple, I have a bowl, I have a fork, and I learn how to get that egg light and fluffy, right? And I do that for myself a couple times a week. This is a very different situation from a chef who now has to make 50 of these every morning for all the different customers. And they each have to be individually. So now that body is going to be trained. You try to do it with your other hand, you'll be able to maybe, but not as well, right? I'm left-handed, and your body learns how to do it in a way that is sustainable. They're not making a big hard effort. They're doing it when you watch a very experienced chef and then they put it in the pan and they flip it and they it's very light. The movements are very light because they've gone through that kind of baby scribbling with a pencil phase or a crayon to a place where they are now very fluid and they're able to be very efficient. They're not looking to identically move the fork each time. It's got nothing to do with that. They want the end result of the omelet and whatever is going to give that.
And the result is omelette, and the omelette is the best for Susan.
But it's an example, right? So the omelet at the end is kind of the strange attractor for all these behaviors that go into it, but they're not hard fixed, trained in a specific, now my elbow is going to be at exactly this height and my shoulders. It's not that. It's just whoop, 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 whoop.
Yes, your own practice. Do it well, and it will be good for the patient, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. Does that relate?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does.
And then Jean-Claude, when let's say you were in the wrist of somebody who did a lot of baseball pitching, for example, when you get inside, do you see the difference? Do you see, oh, this person has done this kind of work?
It's difficult to say which kind of work, but you can say that this patient is a manual worker.
Yes.
Yes. Because the carpal ligament, for example, is much thicker, much thicker.
Great.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
I'm going to turn it over to Diane.
Thank you, Susan. I have unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you to Joe for your question coming from Myers, and thank you to Bob for your question about fascial restrictions. And thank you for your movement example. We haven't had many movement examples here today. And thank you, Jean-Claude, for your inspiring work. I read it first in the 90s, and I continue to read and think about it, and thank you. I don't think the fascia is about behavior. The fascia helps create behavior. The fascia, and movement is behavior. There's no other way of describing what we do with our bodies except behavior. And that when we see through the endoscopy, we see the fibular network and we see how it changes in front of us and organizes itself as it needs to. It is simply responding to our intention to move and to whatever happens. Now, your patients are not moving themselves while this is happening.
Absolutely.
You are watching.
The fascia is not active.
Right.
The fascia is under the control of muscular contraction, for example. The cells give contraction, muscular contraction, and then the fascia is able to transmit the muscular contraction to the tendon and so on. But the action, the action I mean, the active part is not the fascia.
Right, right.
The fascia is the architecture.
Yes, yes, fine.
But it's not the movement.
Okay, so, and the fascia continues to change based on our intention to move and to the movement we make.
Yeah.
If I'm making omelets, okay, or if I'm doing a grand jeté, that's happening there. So I I think we have to continue to stay away from our classical anatomy and go to the movement and see that movement by one body part or groups of body parts, and especially whole body moving together is what keeps our fascia going through injury, those restrictions, and through age. Okay. And we have tremendous power over what happens in the body with movement. We must do more movement in biotensegrity, because there is nothing in biotensegrity that is not about movement. Thank you.
You're right. But you said something I don't agree at all. When you say we have to stay away from traditional anatomy. Yes and no. No, because if you want to understand how is built a human, you have to study anatomy, even in a classical model, but you have to know where is the liver, where is the bladder, where is how is made a finger, and so on. You have to know that first, and then you can interpret this knowledge in another way, adding fascia, adding globality, adding continuity. You can, but first you need a good knowledge of classical anatomy.
Absolutely. I agree. I did 30 years of that, and the dissections and all of those things. So I don't mean that you forget it or disguise it or anyway. But you must think beyond that when you're looking at problem solving in the body. Okay, one muscle or muscle group does not do it all. Everything is functioning. All of your fascia is functioning as you go into one area to provide a solution to something. Say a client comes to you with whatever. Right. Thank you for the correction, and I definitely agree.
Okay.
Great. All right. I think that, thank you, Diane. We have Jeroen. I think since we're almost at 2 hours, this is maybe going to be our last question.
Okay, up to you.
Yeah. Jeroen, you have to unmute. Am I saying your name right? Did I remember it correctly?
Yes, it's perfectly right.
Okay.
Coming back to terminology, we were diving into different avenues of using words. And the last question poser was talking about the behaviors again. And I suddenly remembered that in process philosophy and process physics, we see things as experiencing each other. So we could also say that in fascia, everything lives through the presence of everything else, perhaps. So I was wondering what you think of this terminology of experience perhaps being appropriate for fascia fibers being influenced by each other, going through each other's influence, living through each other's non-local presence, perhaps. So I was thinking if you feel that could be appropriate.
Well, this is, I can give you only one answer from my observation. When you have a fiber, when you observe a fiber, the fiber is never alone, never. It's always connected to others, to the network. It's the same for cells. It's the same for cells. So it's always connected. And the smallest force imposed on one fiber is transmitted to the neighbor one. There is an absorbing system. For example, when you are looking at a tendon, when you move, look, you move your finger. The tendon inside the palm is moving 3 centimeters inside your palm. But you don't observe movement of the skin at the level of your palm. No, because the movement is totally absorbed by the fibrillar network. So all these fibers are depending on the neighbor one. So it's a collective network.
And
Okay?
it's dynamic, a collective network, a dynamic network,
yes, and dynamic.
network that,
yes,
yes,
absolutely,
and with different things manifesting and
absolutely.
relinquishing,
Yes,
right? As needed for force management in the system.
Yes, right, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Jeroen. Is that good?
Thank you. Yeah. I was also thinking about the adjective cognitive. It's a cognitive network. If you agree.
Collective. But
Yeah.
it could be cognitive also.
Well, yeah. It's interesting. Well, I put it in the chat earlier that if you look at the work of Michael Levin, who has a lot of stuff on YouTube, if that's an easier way to access some of it, he's looking at very small organisms and how responsive behavior is. And, you know, he's talking about cognition as well, in terms of things happening at a biochemical level. So pre-neurological, you know, because he's talking about organisms that make decisions and do all kinds of things that certain kinds of learning, organismic learning and behavior, have been ongoing for millennia before the nervous system there was ever any nervous system, for example. So we end up putting our scope very narrow, and then very wide, and then very narrow, and then very wide, and then trying to figure it out. And then I think it's really helpful, Jeroen, for you who have, you have a very different framework, to come and be able to talk about your perspective. So thank you. And all the different perspectives we've had today. Jean-Claude, I'm going to ask one more question, and it's maybe going to be horrible.
Okay.
Because I think people get confused, right? There's the extracellular matrix. There's the ground substance. Maybe those two are the same.
It's totally confusing.
The fascia, wait. The extracellular matrix, the ground substance, the fascia and the different definitions and kinds of fascia, and then the fibrillar network. Do you see what I mean? Where are the distinctions? Where is the overlapping? Where is the confusion? Where is the clarity?
Well, I don't know if I can give the clarity, but I can say, when you are observing with endoscopy, you see fibers, you see cells, so you have two worlds, cellular world, extracellular world. But these two worlds are totally connected.
Interlinked, because the cells make that extracellular matrix. They make that.
Absolutely. And the cells are embedded inside the matrix.
Yeah, and they're making it. And they're creating the matrix.
Yes.
As well.
But if you want to make some, or you say it's a wall and that's all, or you try to understand. You have cells and you have out of cells. Okay.
If you want to put up a wall.
Yeah.
You want to use the cellular wall.
Extracellular matrix.
Yes.
You have fibers and you have fluids. Glycosaminoglycan, for example.
Yes.
And you can add blood vessel and lymphatic vessels. But you have to know that the vessels are made of fibers with cells. It's the same for lymphatic vessel or vascular vessels. So it's difficult to say that it's another world because it's made of the both.
Yes.
So, but the word like ground substance has to disappear. That means nothing.
But maybe that's better because then it doesn't have assumptions inside of it.
Yes, but in the ground substance, you have fibers, you have fluids, you have a lot of proteins, you have a mixture of everything. Mm-hmm. And in fact, that means nothing. What is really clear, you ask me for clarity, is cells and fibers with fluids.
Yeah. And then I know that we've had discussions about this word fiber, where you have said it's not to be thought of like a piece of string that is there and is always there, that they are not fixed, that it's a dynamic and manifesting and...
Yes, like BiotensegriTea propose the model. Yes, absolutely. Yes. It's why we are very close.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask everyone to turn on their camera and their mic if they want to say a thank you, and we'll do a closing toast. I can't believe we've been on for 2 hours. It's gone in a snap. It's been such an honor, Jean-Claude, to have you spend the time. I know that you've ended up giving up your dinner with your family in order to be with us.
Yes, not a problem. It was a pleasure for me too. And not only a pleasure to meet you, but also to be able to speak about very, how can I say, very good level of scientific knowledge. Because it's not very every day, but I can be able to speak about chaos, strange attractor, and so on, because it's not so common. And I thank you for that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, everybody.
Bye
Cheers
bye,
to
everybody.
us all.
Bye.
Cheers.
Oh, still.
Cheers. Bye bye.